So earlier this year, I visited Europe. I visited Ireland. I was all happy to escape America for some time, to go on a trip, on vacation. So I was all happy, singing Kumbaya, holding hands. And then, just when I left a few weeks later, bam, there was riots in UK. So I was wondering what happened because it was all looking fine when I was there, and so it is quite something that's going on in Europe. You can feel it now. I can feel it. I can feel it in the air tonight. It is anti-immigrant sentiment that is growing, and it's something that has to be addressed before it explodes. Please consider liking and subscribing, and let's just look at the news for now.
Violent clashes have gripped parts of the UK in recent days as protests fueled by anti-immigrant sentiment rage across communities. But what sparked the riots and why are they spreading? On July 29th, 3 girls were murdered in a knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance workshop in the normally quiet seaside town of Southport, a crime that has shocked the nation. Days later, the suspect, 17-year-old Axel Ruda Cubana, appeared in an English court. Police quickly clarified that the incident was not terrorism-related, adding that Ruda Cubana was born in Britain and that his parents had moved to the UK from Rwanda.
So as you can see, there was riots over this matter, and this information caused people to go on the streets. Now, this is something that is happening basically throughout Europe. Not the matters, I mean the anti-immigrant sentiments. So why is it the case? Like, I went to Europe, I went to Ireland, and then almost around the same time after I left, there was also riots. Well, demonstrations, not riots, in Ireland. So, Inspector, let's go to Ireland. Let's see what was happening in Ireland. Here we go.
Immigration is changing what Ireland looks like. Refugees are welcome here. In a way and at a pace that some are objecting to.
Scumbags, that's what you are! Scumbags!
During the Dublin riots in November, the issue exploded onto the streets literally. Last year, just over 13,000 asylum seekers arrived in the country, mainly through its airports. That's on top of over 100,000 Ukrainian refugees.
Touch my flag, you. Stop touching that flag. Stop touching my flag.
The backdrop, a housing crisis. It's also being weaponized by a network of anti-immigrant influencers online.
You should feel the same way if you call yourself Irish, but you don't because you have no pride in your nation.
Their mantra, less Céad Míle Fáilte, more Ireland is full.
As you can see, it's the same in Ireland. Ireland is undergoing, it's full. It's full, basically, that's what they're saying. Now, the reason for Ireland, at least I would understand, because I was in Dublin and I came across this article. You know, I always come across articles. Now, I came across this article that shows the average rent in Dublin is over 2,300 euros. 2,300 euros. Can you believe that? On top of the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, the other hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers. When I was in Ireland, though, I could feel something because, you know, well, I was black, so of course already I stand out. But there was this sentiment, really, like you could feel it. It's kind of, they're not very looking forward to foreigners. Sure, they probably thought I was like an asylum seeker or something, but it is the city is quite expensive to find housing right now. So when I was in Ireland, I went to a place called Cork, and there the housing at least was cheaper because there was whoever was hosting me. They had like this house, and it was not that expensive rent. I think they were paying like what, 900 euros or something for, it was a 3 bedroom, I think 3 bedroom, 900 euros. But that was like, that's Cork, that's like 4 hours away from Dublin, I believe. So you cannot walk from Cork to Dublin. It's not, you cannot do that drive. It's too much. Now the thing that's happening in Ireland, I believe, is what's happening in California. California had all these corporations come in, all these tech guys, and they pay a lot of money. Like, let's say Facebook or Microsoft, they pay the workers a lot of money, and the housing need there, those people can afford the rent. So I believe that is what's happening in Ireland, because Ireland, especially Dublin has all these corporations and all these tech industries. They pay a lot to those workers. So those workers, they can't afford these 2,300 euros rent. But for a typical Irish person, they cannot. It is just not sustainable. Like, you could see it just, if you compare, it says this compares to 1387 in the first quarter of 2020. So it was basically like it's doubled now, double the rent. And the easiest scapegoat is normally the immigrants. Now, fair point, they do have a point. It is their country. I believe, as an immigrant, because I'm an immigrant myself, if you move to a place, you must adapt to their ways. You cannot just bring wherever you left to where you're moving to. That's not gonna work. Then what was the point of moving to begin with? If you're gonna keep doing exactly what you are doing, the other place, refusing to adapt to the culture, it's gonna cause a big issue. And that is why I believe that in Europe, in the UK, they were having lots of these issues with migrants. Now, let's look at the statistics. According to the European Commission of how migration to Europe is based on their data. Now, Europe already is very populated. It started way back in the days of, what was it, like 2014, the days of in Syria, and when ISIS was taking over and doing all the worst, chopping heads left and right. They caused this humanitarian issue where people had to move, and that was the beginning of this strain in Europe. I mean, for America, it's different. America is separated from Europe by a whole ocean. Before you get to America, you have to cross an ocean. It's quite a process. America has its own immigration drama. I might cover that later on. But for Europe, it's the easiest to immigrate to, because some people will just cross the sea, enter Spain, and then it's now, once they are there, what happens? What's next? Either they have to use the resources there to take care of them, because first, many do not speak the language. It's a very tough situation. So according to them, that is the European Commission, people are immigrating for reasons of family. That's number one. and then you have for work purposes, and then other reasons. Education is low, one of the few reasons they are immigrating to. Now, employment, most of these immigrants, they are employed in the food service industry. There are few who are like tech, like high, I don't know how to say it politely, like skillful immigrants. Most skillful immigrants immigrate normally the legal way, so they will get sponsorships by the company that they are working with. But for many of these immigrants, they are asylum seekers, as they are called. They are moving for mostly for survival. So because of that, you see they would end up in the food industry and domestic work and others, cleaners, helpers. As you can see, the comparison, EU citizens are less compared to the non-EU citizens who are immigrating there. So this is just a long, it's like a bird's eye view of who is migrating where and what they're doing in Europe. So you have Ukraine. Because of the Ukraine war, there's 37 million refugees. Wow, that's quite a number. It's a very interesting chart. If you can look at it, if you have time, you can look at it, and you see like it goes into quite detail. Now, okay, let's look at the top 15 nationalities. First time asylum seekers in 2023 is from Syria. We have Afghanistan, Turkey, Venezuela. You understand, with the economic situation there with Maduro, it's a mess. Colombia, I don't know much what's happening in Colombia, but it's causing all these immigrants to move into Europe, and already Europe is really stressed because Europe, the way they run the government is different from America. They have lots of social programs, and that's gonna cause an issue, because social programs mostly work well if the population is small, but if the population explodes out of nowhere, it's gonna be a huge strain. So let me just stop with this chat and go try to look at this lost cause. I think the worst situation so far in Europe in terms of migration, we all have to agree, it's Sweden. Sweden is in a, I can't even believe it. Now, this article is a very old article. It's from The Guardian. Now says Sweden has the second highest gun crime death rates in Europe, with poverty and inequality among the driving factors. Now, in case you don't know, you are just born yesterday, Sweden is undergoing a very bad gang issue. There's bombs and like all these things. It's like a, I don't know. It's like a movie. It's really unbelievable. In terms of rankings, like deaths per 100,000 citizens, we have Albania is tops, and then you have Sweden after that, and then it's just it's incredible what's really happened. This needs a video for itself, just to cover Sweden. Now, how would you handle this population growth in Europe? Europe, I would think the government, they would either have to find a way to stop the immigration before it starts. I see Poland has very strict immigration. Poland is, I think, one of the strictest to immigrate to. If for immigrants, I don't think they even allow asylum seekers in Poland. So for these other countries, like Germany, I think Germany has, like, I think 18% of the population is foreign born. They would have to go either the Polish way, but it has to be done in a humane way, basically, not in a racist alt-right type of way. But that's the only way, because it's unsustainable the way it is going. They will have to negotiate with these countries on the with the sea, with the port of entry, like Spain and others. They have to stop it from there. But this is something that is, it's a time bomb. It is a time bomb, because when locals cannot afford to live, they cannot support themselves. It doesn't take rocket scientists to know that they're gonna turn on whoever was not there originally. That happens everywhere. So it's crazy what's going on in Europe right now, even in Ireland. I liked Ireland. If you take away the rain, the constant rain, and the cold, Ireland is an amazing, beautiful country. But yeah, immigration, it's just way too much. Now I could talk about this forever. It's a long video, and you have all these, different countries in Europe, each struggling in a way. I mean, Poland is a unique case, but each country is struggling in a way. So it could take me, like, I don't know, an hour or more to go step by step looking at these countries. But I just wanted to look and see in the UK if something like that could drive misinformation and cause all these riots. If even in Ireland you have people in Dublin going to protest, this is something that has to be addressed. The leaders there, they cannot keep their eyes closed anymore. Cannot play like an ostrich, putting your head in the sand. They'll have to address this, because when they lose control, it's gonna be very bad for the immigrants. And I'm sorry for the immigrants living there. I can only imagine how much worried or scared they would be if the government loses control. So until next time, please consider liking, subscribing, and share this video on all the networks. See ya.
Oh my goodness! All the networks! Wow! All the networks!